All right, today we are going to look at Chapter 1, Lesson 2, Skills for Building Health. Okay, this is kind of going to lay some groundwork for what you need to do to look into your own things, just how to basically self research your own thoughts, feelings, and everything else. Okay, first thing we're really look at is talking about accessing information. Okay, in your book, it talks about 12 different things as you do build your health that you need to be able to do. One of those things on there is just being able to access information. And first and foremost, your first source of information in your life should always come from your parents, guardians, or other trusted adults. These people are going to help really mold you and create the mind process of what they expect from you. I'm not saying you're always going to agree with everything they tell you, but as you get older, you're going to understand their reasoning more and more. And to go along with that, so if that's your first source, with today's media and abilities to access information, you're going to have what we're going to call instant information. Instant information basically refers to the internet. Okay. Yes, there is other forms of information such as newspapers, encyclopedias, things that people do and still can use and are very, very, very reliable sources. However, even I'm guilty of this. Is that why look in a book when I can pull it up on my phone in about 5 seconds? All right. So when you're looking for information on the internet, you must be able to find information, as shall we say, reliable, and it's got to be informative. And some different things on the internet you may look for are what we call agencies. Agencies are a lot of different reliable people or organizations that are there to help provide information for a specific idea. The one I picked was the American Heart Association. That's just one. You have the Leukemia Society. There's different cancer groups. A lot of different sites out there that are very, very informative on information relying to what you may be looking for. The next thing we're going to look at is what you're going to call university sites. Okay, these are like we're talking like college universities. A lot of these universities are heavy into what we call research, and they're on the cutting edge of finding what new technologies may exist, new ideas, things of that nature. And being we're from North Dakota here, I went and found one. It refers to the UND Medical School Research. They have doctors there that are currently researching different ideas as far as how possibly fat and the other things affect dementia, for example. I read something on there just the other day. It's if it's coming from a university, it's probably a very good information source. These people are at the cutting edge of technology, and they're also, like we said, just they're there to try making things better in the world. To go along with the universities and talking to the med school, we could also talk about healthcare providers. Healthcare providers are often doing research trying to find more information about what their local population um, how to say it, this local population, what their demographics are, and what different technologies, and maybe even what maybe was there higher instances of, shall we say, asthma in the area due to maybe pollution from different plants. Okay, that's just an example. My hometown, my we had a provider that really believed that that the coal plants caused the higher rates of asthma in the area. That is just one example about it. She did numerous research on it. Some people believed it, some people didn't. There was a whole lot of argument in between. I'm not saying it's always you're always going to believe what people say, but I'm just using that as an example. And the idea that I found on the internet is called The Big Idea, written by a healthcare provider, and how to solve the cost crisis in healthcare. For those of you that are wondering, this is one of the biggest issues in society right now. Is just how do they start controlling the cost of healthcare? This person is putting out there different ways a person can do it. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's just it's a good example of how a healthcare provider goes out and finds information, creates information for the internet that people can read and see if they choose to believe it or not. Now, I talked about a little bit about you must find information that is reliable, okay? And when we say it's reliable, it is trustworthy and dependable. You can find a lot of stuff on the internet and basically saying such simple things as well, the Sasquatch is running wild in Tioga, okay? Just because someone puts it on the internet doesn't mean it's true, all right? Or werewolf spotted last night down by the water tower. Well, we know werewolves don't exist, so you probably didn't see it, okay? So the information must be reliable. Some of the questions you must ask as you're reading information on the internet: is the author of this thing, are they an expert in the area you're looking at? Okay, this goes back to like I talked about the research. If somebody's doing research, like I said, on the cost of the medical field, it's got to be somebody that has knowledge of what the costs are in the medical field, and versus maybe what the costs are and what people are spending on it versus what the companies are paying for it, and vice versa. They have to be experts in their area. Next thing is often people that are experts, or the information is trustworthy and reliable. It also means that they have done their research. They'll name that research and other studies that backs their information they are trying to put out there. In graduate coursework, I've had to do this many times. I've had to find an idea I like, then I have to go out and find the research that backs it up. You can probably find research on a lot of different things and find information to back it up. Now, like we said, you got to be reasonable here. If somebody states, like, go back to the comment I made about I had a local doctor in our area about the asthma around these coal plants. She's obviously had found some information that probably says there's some contributing causes there. It makes her research more trustworthy and dependable by doing that. Like I said, I'm not saying anyone has to believe it, but it does give it credibility, all right? And the last thing you must always do is check who owns the site. You can find a site that says, yes, you need to do this, you need to do that, and if you do all these things, you will be stronger, fitter, leaner. And then to come to find out it's owned by some person who is a well-known advocate of, or I shouldn't say advocate, I should say a business person trying to sell you videos, DVDs to buy into their system. Okay? You got to take those with a grain of salt. Are they there to actually provide information, or are they there to sell you something? From there, we're going to next talk about what we're going to call self-management. Self-management really looks at what you can do to control yourself and what you do in your day in, day out lives. Self-management starts with a simple theory. As you are getting older, you have been entrusted to make more decisions that are best for you. Okay? You think back, when you were 4 or 5 years old, your parents said when you had to take a bath. They told you how long you could be in there for. They told you when you had to go to bed. They told you when you had to be and be home for supper. Okay? As you're getting older now, your parents have started to entrust you to start making some of those decisions. They're giving you what we call freedom. Okay, as we often know, teenagers can lose freedom and they can gain freedom depending on their actions and responsibilities. Self-management comes back to really what we're going to call 2 key ideas, though, all right? Or key components. 1, practicing healthful behaviors. This basically means that you create a body and mind that you can create the best body and mind that you can. It comes from certain things such as being able to exercise, rest, eat and drink the right things. Make sound choices when it comes to choosing what behaviors you do. The second thing you're going to talk about is something that is actually very critical aspect of getting older, and it's called stress management. Stress management is about controlling your stress. Stress can be real or imagined, okay? And that's an important thing we must realize. It's like sometimes if you know you're going to might get in trouble for something, you're going to start stressing about it a little bit. And then when you actually, once you ever actually tell your parents about something, sometimes you find out they're like, oh, okay, no big deal. And here you stressed out about something where you were upfront and honest and things worked out just fine. So it's like we said, it's more of an imagined stress. Yes, there is real stress. Stress is something that causes cancer, heart problems, everything in between. Stress is probably one of the number one contributing factors to declining people getting into serious health issues. And being able to control that stress is a way that people actually can learn to live longer and healthier lives. There are two types of stress. There's positive stress. This can be such a simple thing as a positive stress can be is it'll make you react in an emergency situation. I've seen this many times in my life. It was no different than when I was coaching my first job. 2 weeks into the job, we had a young man go down on the football field. We hopped into action. Our stress reaction kicked in. We were positive. I was told go call 911. I ran across the field. I ran about 2 blocks to the school, called 911. Got the medical people there. My fellow coaches were back trying to do CPR and help revive the kid. Certain situations in life make you have to do those things. Okay, so that was a positive stress response. All right, I'm not saying it was a positive situation, but how you respond to the situation can sometimes be positive. Negative stress response. Okay, this is where things get a little dicey. If you have a negative stress response, you can lose sleep over the situation, poor sleep habits. You can have an upset stomach. People that are often stressed on a regular basis deal with, shall we say, digestive issues, upset stomachs, and makes them very irritable is probably a good way to put it. They often, like we said, they'll have an upset stomach, so they're often complaining about such things as heartburn, which is just acid buildup in the stomach caused by the stress, and they're often popping a lot of things such as Tums and things of that nature. Negative stress can also lead to poor choices, because teenagers never make poor choices when they're angry or mad. Yes, they do, and you guys know you do. The thing is you gotta realize it's a negative situation and make sure you take that step back and realize, is this in my best interest? Do I really need to do this? All right. And how you learn to control your stress is what is stress management. This is a very critical part of your life. You must, and I repeat, you must be able to learn to control stress if you're going to be successful in the world. And some of you know me very well from older siblings or this and that we all have to know that there's a fine line between being good and bad. And those positive and negative things that you do will affect the stress level you go through on a day in, day out basis. If you can learn to keep things more on the positive side, people live better and fuller lives. People that tend to live on the negative stress a little bit more tend to have more health issues, struggle day to day, have a hard time finding a reason to get up in the morning.